Ethan Carter had always dreamed of the stars. Even as a child, he would lie on the rooftop of his family home, staring into the dark sky, imagining what might exist beyond Earth. Now, as a young explorer chosen by humanity for a critical interstellar mission, those dreams were about to become reality. He took a deep breath as the shuttle approached the Zetherian homeworld, a planet that shimmered with shades of blue and green unlike any he had ever seen. The Zetherian system had recently been discovered at the edge of human-mapped space. Reports suggested a civilization of extraordinary intelligence, one that had created technologies far beyond human comprehension. Yet the most fascinating aspect of the Zetherians was their culture. Unlike humans, whose history was marked by conquest and conflict, the Zetherians were known for their harmony, wisdom, and deep appreciation of knowledge. Ethan's mission was simple in words but delicate in execution: negotiate a peaceful alliance and establish mutual understanding between humans and Zetherians. But as the shuttle descended through the planet's thin, iridescent atmosphere, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. This was uncharted territory and anything could happen. The shuttle landed smoothly on a polished landing platform in the capital city, a breathtaking metropolis that seemed to float above the planet's surface. Towers of translucent material glimmered in the sunlight, and enormous gardens spread in every direction, each filled with plants of colors that made earthly flowers look dull by comparison. Ethan stepped out, taking in the view, feeling both awed and humbled. A soft, melodic voice spoke beside him. "Welcome, Earth Envoy." Ethan turned and saw two figures approaching. Both were humanoid, yet unmistakably alien. Their skin shimmered, faintly, like moonlight on water, and their eyes held a depth of intelligence and emotion that was almost overwhelming. They moved with a grace that seemed effortless yet confident. "I am Lyra, ambassador of the Zetherian High Council," said the taller of the two, her voice warm but formal. "And this is Nisa, my colleague. Together we will guide you during your stay." Ethan shook their hands, or rather attempted to, unsure if the gesture was entirely appropriate. The Zetherian's fingers were delicate and slightly longer than his own, but surprisingly strong. "It's an honor to meet you both," he said. "I've heard so much about your civilization. I hope I can live up to your expectations." Lyra smiled. "Expectations are not the goal here, Earth Envoy. Understanding and respect are. You will find our people value thoughtfulness above all else." Nisa nodded. "And your decisions will matter not just to us but to your entire species." Her eyes met his, sharp and clear, carrying a weight that made him realize how serious his mission truly was. As they walked through the city, Ethan marveled at the Zetherians' harmony with their environment. Towering structures coexisted seamlessly with lush gardens. The air was clean, fresh, and tinged with a faint, sweet fragrance from alien blossoms. He noticed streams of water flowing through the streets, serving as both decoration and transportation for smaller, automated vessels. After some time, they arrived at a central plaza, where a circular building stood. It was made of a crystalline material that reflected the sky in brilliant patterns. "This is the Hall of Council," Lyra explained. "The place where important decisions for our civilization are made." As they entered, Ethan's eyes widened. Inside, the hall seemed even larger than the city outside. The walls were lined with panels displaying flowing images of Zetherian history, science, and art. Figures moved with purpose, yet the atmosphere was calm, as if even the busiest activity was part of a larger, harmonious rhythm. A Zetherian council member approached. "Ethan Carter, welcome. You have been honored with a unique tradition." Ethan blinked. I don't understand." "What tradition?" The council member gestured to Lyra and Nisa. "As a symbol of our gratitude for your service and cooperation, you are allowed to select one of these ambassadors as your companion for the future work we will undertake together." Ethan froze. He had expected negotiations, discussions, maybe even tests of intelligence or character. But choosing a companion? He looked at Lyra and Nisa and instantly felt a knot in his stomach. Both were extraordinary, wise, capable, and kind. He couldn't imagine picking one over the other. Seeing his hesitation, Lyra spoke gently. It is not a test of preference or favoritism. It is a tradition meant to symbolize the bond between your people and ours. Nyssa added, It is an honor, yes, but also a responsibility. Your choice will be remembered by our civilization. Ethan took a deep breath. He respected the tradition, but he couldn't deny the growing connection he already felt with both Zetherians. During the short time he had been on the planet, he had observed their intelligence, their insight, and their unwavering calm under pressure. They were more than capable companions. They were equals in every sense of the word. The council member seemed to sense his thoughts. Do not rush, Earth Envoy. You will have time to understand the depth of their skills before making a decision. Ethan nodded, relief washing over him. He realized that the choice wasn't immediate, and that gave him the chance to learn more about Lyra and Nyssa. Perhaps understanding them better would make his decision clearer, or, as he began to think, perhaps it would help him find a solution that no one had considered before. Over the next few days, Ethan accompanied Lyra and Nyssa on guided tours of the planet. He saw not just the wonders of Zetherian technology, but the beauty of their society. Education and curiosity were valued above all else. Every citizen was encouraged to explore their talents, think creatively, and contribute to the greater good. In one of the gardens, Nyssa demonstrated a method of communicating with the plants through subtle electrical signals. Ethan was fascinated as the flowers and vines responded almost instantly to her touch, bending and glowing with life. Our planet thrives because we respect every form of life, Nyssa explained. Later, Lyra took Ethan to the city's innovation center, where young Zetherians designed machines that could harness energy from stars and asteroids. We believe knowledge should be shared, not hoarded, Lyra said. Our progress depends on collaboration, not competition. Through these experiences, Ethan began to understand the Zetherian way of life. It was logical, compassionate, and incredibly advanced, but it was also different from humanity in ways that challenged his assumptions. He admired it deeply. And he admired both Lyra and Nyssa. One evening, as the three sat overlooking a lake that reflected the glowing twin moons, Ethan felt a strange mix of emotions: respect, admiration, curiosity, and a sense of responsibility that weighed heavier than any challenge he had faced on Earth. He realized that whatever choice he made would not only affect the Zetherians, but also humanity's relationship with an entire civilization. He turned to Lyra. You both have taught me more in these few days than I could have imagined. I want to honor that, but I'm not sure how to choose. Lyra smiled knowingly. The answer is not always simple, Ethan. Sometimes the right choice challenges tradition, but that does not make it wrong. Nyssa added softly. Perhaps the answer lies in understanding the purpose of the tradition, not just the rules. The goal is partnership, guidance, and mutual growth. Think about that. Ethan leaned back, staring at the shimmering water. His heart and mind were full, and a sense of clarity began to emerge. He didn't have to limit himself to what others expected. There could be a way to honor both Lyra and Nyssa, a way to form a team that valued each of their strengths. But for now, he would wait. Observation, reflection, and understanding would guide his next steps. The mission had only just begun, and the true adventure, the one that would test his intellect, courage, and humanity, was still ahead. As the twin moons rose higher in the sky, Ethan felt a spark of hope, not just for the mission, but for the future of human and Zetherian cooperation. Somewhere in the stars, possibilities awaited that no one had yet imagined, and he was ready to discover them. The morning sun bathed the Zetherian city in golden light as Ethan Carter prepared for his first day of trials. The council had informed him that before making any choice about the ambassador companion, he would participate in a series of challenges designed to test intellect, teamwork, and character. These trials were not only ceremonial, they were an opportunity to demonstrate humanity's values to the Zetherians. Lyra and Nyssa arrived promptly at the landing platform, each radiating calm confidence. Lyra's expression was sharp and analytical, while Nyssa's was warm and observant. Ethan greeted them, trying to hide his nerves. So this is it, he said. The trials? Lyra nodded. The trials are meant to show how you work under pressure, think critically, and approach challenges with creativity. You will not be judged only on winning, but on how you collaborate. Nisa added, "And remember, Ethan, this is as much about understanding us as it is about being tested yourself. Watch closely, listen carefully, and think beyond the obvious." Their first trial was held in a vast arena surrounded by crystalline walls that reflected the morning light. In the center floated a complex holographic puzzle, a three-dimensional maze composed of shifting platforms, glowing nodes, and unpredictable patterns. The objective was to reach the center while activating specific nodes in the correct order. Ethan's mind raced as he analyzed the puzzle. "This looks impossible," he admitted. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. "Impossible is just a perspective. Watch first, then act," the three of them began. Lyra quickly mapped the shifting patterns, anticipating the paths that would open and close. Nisa approached with a methodical calm, analyzing the timing and flow of the nodes, sensing patterns that were subtle but critical. Ethan initially tried to keep pace on his own, but he soon realized that success required cooperation. "Follow my lead here," Lyra instructed, pointing to a series of platforms. Ethan adjusted, moving in sync with her precise timing. Nisa whispered corrections, predicting shifts that even Lyra hadn't noticed. Together they navigated the maze, combining instinct, logic, and observation. By the time they reached the center, Ethan's chest was heaving with excitement. They had completed the trial, not individually, but as a team. The council's monitors glowed in acknowledgement. "Well done," a voice intoned. "Your approach shows coordination and respect for diverse thinking." Ethan smiled, feeling a mix of pride and relief. But he also realized something important. Both Lyra and Nisa brought unique strengths. Lyra was decisive and strategic. Nisa was empathetic and intuitive. He had no doubt that either could guide him successfully, but together they were unstoppable. The second trial began in an open field just outside the city. Here the challenge was environmental. They were tasked with restoring a damaged ecosystem using Zetherian technology that Ethan barely understood. Strange plants and animals floated in the air, connected by glowing energy threads. A disruption in one section could cause a cascade of failure across the system. Ethan hesitated, studying the threads. "Where do we start?" he asked. Nisa bent to observe a cluster of floating flora. "We start by listening. Every element has a rhythm. We can't force it. We must guide it." She gently touched the threads, and the plants responded, adjusting their positions in harmony. Lyra, meanwhile, accessed a console, quickly calculating energy flows and environmental balance. "We need precision," she said. "If we misalign the nodes, it could destabilize the entire ecosystem." Ethan realized the trial required both approaches, intuition and calculation. He began connecting floating nodes with careful adjustments, watching as Lyra fine-tuned the larger system, while Nisa ensured each component responded naturally. Slowly the ecosystem stabilized, glowing brightly with renewed energy. The council's voice echoed again. "This trial demonstrates understanding of complexity and harmony. Cooperation is key, and you have excelled." As they rested, Ethan reflected on the lessons of the day. "It's amazing," he said, "how different your strengths are. And yet together you make everything seem possible." Lyra smiled. "That is the essence of partnership. Alone, each of us is strong. Together, we are greater than the sum of our parts." Nisa nodded. "You are learning more than just skills, Ethan. You are learning the Zetherian way. Respect for others, careful observation, and mindful action. These are as important as any challenge we face." The third trial was the most personal. It was a test of empathy and decision-making, presented in a virtual simulation. They were transported into a holographic scenario where they encountered different species facing dilemmas that required ethical choices. Some situations had no single right answer, only consequences that could ripple across communities. Ethan's first scenario involved an alien colony with scarce water resources. He had to decide how to allocate resources fairly. He quickly realized that a purely logical solution would leave some individuals disadvantaged. Remembering Nisa's guidance, he considered the needs and perspectives of every individual, adjusting his plan to provide balance and fairness. In the next scenario, a young Zetherian needed guidance on a scientific experiment that could either advance knowledge or cause harm if mismanaged. Ethan listened to Lyra's insights about strategy and potential outcomes, and Nisa's advice about the ethical implications. Together, they found a solution that maximized learning while minimizing risk. By the end of the day, Ethan understood something critical. These trials were not simply tests of skill, they were reflections of character. Lyra and Nisa were not just ambassadors. They were mirrors, showing him the values of their people and the qualities that humanity could aspire to. That evening, they gathered at the edge of a floating cliff overlooking a radiant cityscape. Ethan watched the light glimmer across the crystalline towers and turned to them. "I've never seen anything like your world, and I've never met anyone like you, both of you. You each have such different strengths, but I can see how they complement each other." Lyra's gaze was steady. "That is the lesson, Ethan. Strength alone is not enough. Wisdom is found in understanding and combining skill with insight, logic with empathy." Nisa's voice was soft but firm. "And you, Ethan, are learning it quickly. That is why the Council believes you will make the right choice, whatever path you take." Ethan felt a surge of emotion. He respected both Lyra and Nisa equally. Choosing only one seemed impossible, not because he could not decide, but because both had earned his admiration and trust. He realized that perhaps the solution would not be found in choosing, but in thinking beyond the rules. That night, as he lay under the twin moons, he replayed the day's events in his mind. The puzzles, the ecosystem, the ethical simulations, they had all tested him, but more importantly, they had taught him. The trials had not been about competition. They had been about understanding, collaboration, and the power of partnership. Ethan finally understood what the Council wanted. Not a simple choice, but a demonstration of humanity's values. Humans could be clever, resourceful, and courageous, but the greatest strength came from empathy, fairness, and the ability to work together. He knew that the next steps would challenge him even more. The final trial would test not only his intellect and character, but also his ability to navigate the delicate balance of interstellar diplomacy. And yet he felt ready. With Lyra and Nisa by his side, he believed they could face any challenge the galaxy could present. As the moons shone brightly above, Ethan made a quiet promise to himself. He would honor both Lyra and Nisa, not because tradition required him to choose, but because he recognized their worth equally. How he would do that he did not yet know, but the answer would come. For now, he allowed himself a moment of calm. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and the opportunity to continue proving humanity's potential, not just as explorers or diplomats, but as beings capable of fairness, courage, and remarkable understanding. Ethan closed his eyes, feeling the cool breeze of the alien night against his face, and whispered silently, "We are ready." The next morning, Ethan Carter awoke to a sky painted in soft shades of lavender and gold. Today was the day the Zetherian Council expected him to make a choice, one that would determine the future of his mission, and perhaps the relationship between humans and Zetherians for years to come. He dressed quickly, feeling a mixture of anticipation and unease. Though he had grown close to Lyra and Nisa, the thought of having to select only one of them weighed heavily on his mind. As he stepped out onto the landing platform, he saw both ambassadors waiting. Lyra's posture was upright, her expression calm but thoughtful. Nisa's eyes carried their usual warmth, but there was a flicker of anticipation there as well. Neither spoke at first. The morning air seemed to hold a quiet tension. "We will accompany you to the council," Lyra said at last. "The decision is yours, Ethan. Remember, it is not just a formality, it is a symbol of partnership between our peoples." Ethan nodded. "I understand," he replied, though his heart pounded with uncertainty, "but I hope you will understand that this is difficult." Nisa reached out and lightly touched his arm. "We trust you, Ethan. The decision will reflect not just your choice but your character." The Hall of Council looked even more impressive in the morning light. The crystalline walls glimmered like liquid glass, and the air seemed charged with quiet energy. Ethan followed Lyra and Nisa inside, noting the council members who watched with expressions of serene curiosity. Every figure was poised, dignified, and intelligent-looking, conveying the collective wisdom of a civilization that had long avoided conflict through cooperation. The council chamber was circular, with a platform in the center where Ethan was expected to stand. The council leader, a tall Zetherian named Saran, addressed him. Ethan Carter, you have completed the trials of intellect, skill, and character. You have demonstrated the qualities of observation, fairness, and cooperation. Now comes the final step, the selection of your companion. Ethan's throat felt dry. I need time to think, he said honestly. I respect both Lyra and Nisa equally, and choosing only one seems impossible. I do not want to dishonor either of them or your tradition. Saran regarded him silently for a moment, then nodded. The council understands hesitation. But remember, the tradition is symbolic. Its purpose is to forge a bond, not to create division. Consider carefully what the bond represents. Lyra and Nisa stood quietly, their presence a reminder of the partnership Ethan had come to value. They did not speak, but their eyes conveyed trust and patience. Ethan knew he could not make a hasty decision. This was not about preference, but about values. He walked to the center of the platform and looked around. The holographic displays of Zetherian history and accomplishments shimmered in the light. He thought about the trials they had faced together, the maze that required careful timing, the ecosystem that demanded both intuition and logic, the ethical simulations that tested empathy and fairness. In each instance, Lyra's precision and strategy had been invaluable. Nisa's insight and compassion had been equally critical. Choosing one over the other felt not just unfair, it felt incomplete. Ethan realized that the trials had prepared him for more than just a decision. They had taught him that strength was most powerful when shared, that collaboration could achieve what solitary effort could not. And yet tradition demanded a single choice. He took a deep breath and stepped down from the platform to walk among the council members, seeking clarity. He remembered Nisa's words from the night before. Perhaps the answer lies in understanding the purpose of the tradition, not just the rules. Ethan pondered this carefully. The purpose was partnership, guidance, and mutual growth, not rivalry, not exclusion. Then a thought sparked in his mind, a solution that might honor both ambassadors while respecting the spirit of Zetherian tradition. He returned to the center and spoke with steady confidence. I have thought about this deeply, he said. The purpose of this tradition is not to favor one individual over another, but to create a bond that benefits both our peoples. If the goal is partnership and mutual understanding, then perhaps the tradition can evolve. The council members murmured among themselves, intrigued by his words. Saran raised a hand for silence. Explain, Ethan Carter. What do you propose? I propose, Ethan continued, that I do not select only one companion but both. Lyra and Nisa have complementary strengths. Together they can guide me and humanity in ways that one alone cannot. This would honor your tradition's purpose while expanding its meaning. A silence followed. Lyra and Nisa exchanged glances, neither expression shock but a quiet anticipation. They trusted him, and that trust seemed to give him courage. Saran stepped forward, his tall frame casting a gentle shadow. Your proposal is unprecedented. No envoy has ever requested two companions. The council must deliberate. Tell us, Ethan Carter, do you believe your people and ours are ready for such a change? Ethan nodded firmly. I do. Humans are capable of fairness, empathy, and collaboration. We have proven that in our trials together. And I believe our partnership with your civilization will grow stronger if we embrace all the talents before us. The council fell into quiet deliberation. Ethan watched, heart racing, as Saran and the other members considered his words. Lyra and Nisa remained at his side, their silent support a steadying presence. For the first time, he felt a sense of control, not over the outcome but over the principles guiding his actions. After what felt like hours, Saran finally spoke. The council has decided. We accept your proposal. The tradition will evolve in recognition of both your judgment and the potential benefits of collaboration. Both Lyra and Nisa shall accompany you as companions. Ethan felt a rush of relief and joy. Thank you, he said sincerely, bowing slightly in respect. Lyra smiled, her eyes gleaming with pride. This is a new chapter, Ethan. Together we will achieve much. Nisa placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. Your choice honors not just us, but the ideals of cooperation and fairness that our peoples share. This is a path forward that we will all be proud of. Saran's voice carried across the chamber. Let this day be remembered. A human envoy has shown wisdom, insight, and courage by valuing partnership over tradition. May this decision inspire future collaboration between our civilizations. Ethan felt the weight of the moment, but also a lightness he had not anticipated. By choosing both ambassadors, he had upheld the purpose of the tradition while demonstrating the very qualities humans hope to represent in the galaxy: fairness, understanding, and the courage to innovate thoughtfully. Outside the Hall of Council, the city shimmered in the afternoon sun. Ethan walked alongside Lyra and Nisa, marveling at the harmony of the metropolis. He could feel the energy of cooperation flowing through the streets, a reflection of the choice he had just made. "Do you think the council will really accept this long-term?" Ethan asked cautiously. Lyra glanced at him. "Traditions evolve when guided by reason and respect. You have shown both. The council will remember this decision." Nisa nodded. "And your people will see what is possible when collaboration guides choices. This is the essence of growth, personal, cultural, and interstellar." Ethan smiled. "I never imagined that a simple tradition could teach me so much about leadership, fairness, and partnership." They spent the rest of the day preparing for their first mission together. Plans were made, routes mapped, and objectives outlined. Yet even as they worked, Ethan felt a deeper understanding settling in. The trials had been more than tests. They had been lessons in the power of combining strengths, valuing every voice and seeing beyond what tradition dictated. That night, as the twin moons rose above the horizon, Ethan, Lyra, and Nisa stood at the edge of the cliff overlooking the city. The air was calm, the stars twinkling above in patterns that seemed almost purposeful. Ethan took a deep breath. "I know this is just the beginning. The challenges ahead will be greater than anything we've faced, but I feel ready. Together, I think we can accomplish anything." Lyra's voice was steady, "And together we will. There is no limit to what we can learn from one another." Nisa added, "And no limit to what we can achieve when we respect each other's strengths." Ethan looked at them both, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and hope. For the first time, he truly understood what HFY humanity meant not just courage or intelligence, but the ability to rise above simple choice, to value cooperation, and to act with fairness and insight in the service of something greater than oneself. He knew the path ahead would be filled with challenges, both political and scientific, but he also knew that with Lyra and Nisa by his side, there was no obstacle too great, no dilemma insurmountable. Together they were ready to explore, learn, and build a future that honored both species. As the moons reflected on the crystalline towers below, Ethan felt a quiet certainty. The trials were over, but the true journey, the journey of partnership, discovery, and growth, was only beginning. The sun rose over the Zetherian capital, casting a soft glow over the crystalline towers and floating gardens. For Ethan Carter, Lyra, and Nisa, this was the beginning of a new chapter, not just for themselves, but for humanity and the Zetherians. Today, they would officially embark on the first joint mission, testing not only their skills but the strength of the partnership they had formed. Ethan walked to the council chamber, where Saran and the other council members awaited. Lyra and Nisa accompanied him, their calm confidence a steadying presence. The council had already approved his unprecedented decision. Both ambassadors would act as his companions. But today it was formalized, celebrated, and observed by the Zetherian people as a historic moment. Saran spoke first. "Today we witness a decision that transcends tradition. Ethan Carter has chosen to honor the spirit of partnership and collaboration by selecting both Lyra and Nisa as companions. Let this day mark a new era of understanding between our civilizations." The chamber filled with applause, a harmonious sound that seemed almost musical in the vast space. Ethan felt a mix of pride, excitement, and responsibility. He had not simply chosen friends, he had chosen a team, a bond that would carry the hopes of two species into the unknown. After the ceremony, the trio prepared for their first mission, an expedition to a nearby uncharted planet that showed signs of intelligent life. The goal was to observe, learn, and establish initial contact while avoiding any conflict. It was a delicate task, requiring diplomacy, knowledge, and trust. The shuttle that would take them to the planet was sleek and advanced, a joint effort between human and Zetherian engineers. Ethan took the pilot's seat. Lyra handled navigation and technical systems, and Nisa monitored communications and environmental sensors. Their teamwork was seamless, each complementing the other's strengths. As the shuttle rose above the city, Ethan glanced at Lyra. "Ready?" Lyra's eyes sparkled with determination. Always. Let's make this a successful mission, Nysa added with a gentle smile. And let's learn as much as we can. Curiosity is the key to understanding. The journey through space was smooth but not without challenges. The planet they were approaching had an unpredictable magnetic field that interfered with navigation systems. Ethan focused on maintaining course while Lyra adjusted the shuttle's engines with precise calculations, and Nysa interpreted data from the sensors to predict fluctuations. This field is stronger than expected, Ethan said, concentrating. We need to adjust our trajectory slightly. Lyra's hands moved over the controls. I've calculated the optimal path. Trust me, we can stabilize without delay. Nysa chimed in. And I've identified weaker zones in the field. We can use them to minimize stress on the shuttle. Working together, they navigated through the magnetic turbulence. It was a perfect example of their combined abilities. Ethan's quick thinking, Lyra's precision, and Nysa's intuition. By the time they reached orbit around the planet, they were already functioning as a cohesive unit. The planet below was breathtaking. Lush forests stretched across vast continents, glimmering rivers wound like silver ribbons, and cities of crystal-like material sparkled in the sunlight. Signs of intelligent life were evident: carefully constructed buildings, transportation networks, and agricultural systems that harmonized with the environment. Their mission was to observe first, engage only when necessary. Nysa monitored the communication frequencies, picking up signals that suggested curiosity rather than hostility. Lyra focused on analyzing energy outputs, trying to understand the technology the planet's inhabitants used. Ethan documented everything, thinking about how humanity could learn from this new civilization. Suddenly, a small craft approached them, sleek and elegant. The inhabitants aboard seemed cautious but not aggressive. Lyra and Nysa exchanged a quick glance. They are curious, Nysa said. No threat detected, but we must proceed carefully. Ethan nodded. We'll respond calmly and openly. Let's show them respect. He activated the shuttle's communication system. Greetings, he said, his voice steady. We come in peace from Earth. We mean no harm and wish to learn about your world. The response was immediate. A holographic figure appeared on their screen, humanoid but distinctly alien, with delicate features and shimmering skin. Their eyes conveyed curiosity and intelligence. Ethan felt a thrill. First contact had begun, and it was unfolding smoothly. Lyra and Nysa guided the interaction, interpreting the alien signals and ensuring clarity. Ethan spoke carefully, explaining their mission, their desire for mutual understanding, and their respect for the planet's inhabitants. The aliens responded with questions, their voices curious and thoughtful rather than confrontational. Hours passed as dialogue continued. The trio discovered that the planet's civilization had advanced technology, but it was deeply rooted in ethical principles and sustainability. They had created machines and systems that benefited the community without harming the environment, an ideal Ethan realized humanity could learn from. During this exchange, a minor crisis occurred. One of the alien energy nodes began to overload, risking damage to nearby structures. Lyra quickly analyzed the system and suggested a safe way to stabilize it remotely. Nysa offered insights into how the inhabitants could adjust their systems without causing harm. Ethan coordinated the response, translating instructions and ensuring safety protocols were followed. In less than an hour, the node stabilized, and the aliens expressed gratitude through gestures and lights that conveyed emotion. Ethan felt a deep sense of accomplishment. This was not just a mission, it was proof that teamwork, understanding, and collaboration could prevent conflict and foster trust. As night fell on the alien planet, the trio gathered in their shuttle, reviewing the day's events. Ethan looked at Lyra and Nysa. We did it together. I don't think I could have handled this alone. Lyra smiled faintly. No one could. Partnership amplifies ability. This is why I support your decision, Ethan, to have both of us working together with you. Nysa added softly. And it's not just about skill. It's about respect, patience, and listening. Humanity already shows these qualities, and this mission proves it. The next few days were filled with further exploration. They visited cities, studied technologies, and observed social structures. Each experience revealed more about the planet's inhabitants and more about themselves. Lyra's analytical mind found patterns in the alien systems that humans would have struggled to interpret. Nisa's empathy helped bridge cultural gaps, translating nuances of communication that could have led to misunderstanding. Ethan's own abilities, honed through years of study and instinct, connected all their efforts into a coherent mission plan. Every challenge they faced reinforced the lesson Ethan had learned during the trials. Collaboration was the greatest strength. Alone, any of them might have succeeded in some tasks, but together their abilities multiplied, producing results neither could achieve individually. One evening, while observing the alien city lights from orbit, Ethan reflected on the journey so far. "I realize now," he said quietly, "that choosing both of you wasn't just the right decision, it was necessary. Everything we've accomplished so far proves it." Lyra placed a hand on the console near him. "And the Council saw it too. You have not just followed a tradition, you have expanded it. That is a rare quality in any civilization." Nisa smiled. "The true reward is not the choice itself, Ethan. It is the journey we share, the knowledge we gain, and the partnerships we form. That is what will matter most in the end." Ethan felt a surge of gratitude and purpose. Humanity had sent him as an envoy, but he realized he was also representing values that could shape the future: fairness, empathy, curiosity, and courage. With Lyra and Nisa by his side, he was not just exploring new worlds, he was demonstrating what humans could achieve when they acted with wisdom and integrity. As the alien planet rotated below, the trio prepared to return to the Zitherian capital, their minds full of ideas, plans, and lessons. They had faced the unknown together and had succeeded, not through dominance or force, but through cooperation, insight, and mutual respect. Ethan looked at his companions one last time before setting the shuttle on course. "I think this is only the beginning. There are so many worlds to explore, so many people to learn from, and now I know that we can handle it together." Lyra's eyes sparkled with determination. "And together we will. Every challenge ahead will be met as a team, and every obstacle can be turned into opportunity." Nisa nodded, her voice calm but confident. "The universe is vast, Ethan. But with understanding, fairness, and cooperation, we can make it a place where all civilizations benefit." Ethan smiled, feeling a deep sense of purpose. The trials, the decision, the first mission, they had all led to this moment. He realized that the choice to select both companions had not been a deviation from tradition, but a step forward in demonstrating the best of humanity: intelligence, compassion, and the courage to do what was right. As the stars stretched endlessly around them, Ethan, Lyra, and Nisa moved forward together, ready to face the next mission, the next discovery, and the next challenge. And with every step they proved that collaboration, respecting and valuing all strengths, was humanity's greatest weapon and the true meaning of HFY. The journey from the Zitherian capital to the edge of the unexplored galaxy had been long, but Ethan Carter, Lyra, and Nisa felt ready for whatever awaited them. Their first mission together had proven that collaboration between humans and Zitherians was not only possible but powerful. Yet the universe was vast, full of unknown worlds, uncharted civilizations, and challenges that demanded wisdom, patience, and courage. Ethan looked out of the shuttle's observation window, watching the stars stretch endlessly across the darkness. "It's incredible," he said quietly. "So many worlds we haven't seen, so many people we haven't met." Lyra's sharp eyes scanned the navigational display, and each one presents a unique challenge. We must be prepared to adapt, to think quickly, and to understand the unknown before acting. Nisa smiled. "And that is exactly why we are a team, Ethan. Alone, one of us could succeed sometimes. Together, there is almost nothing we cannot handle." Their next destination was a planet that emitted unusual energy readings. Zitherian sensors indicated the presence of a civilization, but unlike the last planet, the signals were fragmented and irregular. The Council had tasked them with investigation and observation, making first contact if possible. As they approached, Ethan noticed how the planet shimmered with an unusual green light. Towering structures rose above sprawling forests, and strange floating orbs moved across the sky in patterns that were difficult to decipher. Lyra analyzed the data. "The technology here is different from anything we've encountered. It seems advanced, but its patterns are unpredictable. Nisa adjusted the communication array, listening carefully. And the signals, they are inconsistent. Almost like the inhabitants are unsure how to respond. We must proceed carefully. Ethan nodded, remembering the lessons from their previous mission. Let's approach slowly, observe first, and act with respect. The shuttle descended toward a clearing near one of the structures. Strange creatures emerged, not aggressive but clearly curious. Their movements were rhythmic, almost musical, and their skin seemed to reflect the green light of the planet. Ethan felt a sense of wonder. Lyra spoke softly. Observe. Take note of their behavior. Attempting communication too soon could be misinterpreted. Nisa added. Notice patterns, gestures, and responses. Every detail matters. They spent hours studying the inhabitants, noting how they moved, how they communicated, and how their technology interacted with the environment. Ethan realized that understanding required more than intelligence. It required empathy, patience, and the ability to see the world from another perspective. Finally, Nisa spoke. I think we're ready. Their signals show curiosity but also caution. If we approach with transparency and respect, they may respond positively. Ethan took a deep breath. Then let's try. He activated the shuttle's communication array, sending simple greetings and signals of peace. The inhabitants paused, then mirrored the gestures, showing understanding. A holographic display formed in response, representing concepts rather than words: trust, curiosity, and observation. Lyra and Nisa guided Ethan through the exchange, helping him interpret subtle cues and ensuring that every action was considerate. Slowly, the inhabitants began to respond more openly, sharing knowledge about their culture, technology, and values. Ethan felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The team had succeeded not because of strength or force, but because of careful observation, respect, and collaboration. Over the next few days, they learned about the planet's society, which valued harmony above all else. Their technology advanced, yet it coexisted with nature. Their communities were interconnected, and every individual contributed to the greater good. Ethan couldn't help but think about the parallels with Zetherian civilization and the lessons humanity could bring back to Earth. One evening, as they rested in the shuttle, Ethan reflected on the journey so far. We've learned so much, he said, and I realize now that our success isn't just about what we accomplish. It's about how we approach the unknown with patience, respect, and teamwork. Lyra nodded. That is the essence of partnership. Intelligence alone is not enough. Understanding, cooperation, and consideration amplify the impact of knowledge. Nisa smiled warmly. And that is why your decision to choose both of us was so important. Together we are stronger, and our actions reflect the ideals of both our civilizations. Ethan felt a surge of gratitude and hope. The trials, the missions, and the challenges had all led to this understanding. Humans were capable of greatness, not just in technology or exploration, but in empathy, fairness, and collaboration. The HFY ideal was not about superiority, but about rising to meet challenges with wisdom, courage, and respect. As they prepared to return to Zetheria, they received an urgent signal from the Council. A neighboring star system had detected unusual activity, an environmental anomaly that threatened to destabilize an inhabited planet. It was an opportunity to apply what they had learned: cooperation, careful planning, and ethical action. Ethan, Lyra, and Nisa worked quickly. Lyra calculated the energy flows and suggested a technical solution to stabilize the planet's orbit. Nisa advised on how to communicate with the inhabitants to ensure their safety and understanding. Ethan coordinated the operation, integrating their insights and making decisions with precision and care. Together, they guided the planet's inhabitants through the stabilization process. It was tense, requiring focus and trust, but the result was successful. The planet was safe, its civilization unharmed, and the Council hailed their actions as a model of interstellar cooperation. That night, as they gazed at the stars from orbit, Ethan felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This is what it means to represent humanity, he said. Not just exploration, but understanding, fairness, and partnership. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. And you have done it well. You have shown that humanity can rise to meet any challenge with intelligence and heart. Nisa added softly. The universe is vast, Ethan, but when we work together, there is no obstacle too great. This is the path forward. For humans, for Zetherians, and for all civilizations willing to embrace cooperation. Ethan smiled, feeling a quiet confidence. The journey had taught him more than he could have imagined. The lessons were clear. Value every mind, respect every perspective, and act with integrity. By choosing both Lyra and Nyssa, he had honored not just tradition, but the ideals that humanity could bring to the galaxy. Over the following months, their missions took them to distant worlds, each with unique cultures, ecosystems, and challenges. They mediated disputes, assisted in technological and environmental development, and shared knowledge that benefited countless civilizations. Each success was a testament to the power of teamwork, the value of empathy, and the courage to act wisely. Through it all, Ethan never forgot the lessons of the initial trials. Lyra's strategic brilliance and Nyssa's empathetic insight formed a balance that amplified every decision. Together, they achieved outcomes that no one alone could have managed. Humanity's reputation grew, not because of dominance, but because of fairness, intelligence, and collaboration. One evening, as the trio rested aboard their shuttle, Ethan reflected on how far they had come. "I used to think that a single choice defined everything," he said. "But I see now that the right path is often the one that embraces collaboration, not limitation." Lyra smiled.
"And that is the essence of progress."
"Growth comes from combining knowledge, skill, and understanding. You have shown that humans are capable of this," Nyssa added, "and the universe will remember it, not as a single event, but as a series of choices that reflect wisdom, fairness, and courage." Ethan looked at the stars, feeling hope and determination. Humanity had a place in the galaxy, not just as explorers, but as partners, as learners, and as beings capable of shaping a better future. The choice to select both companions had been more than a decision. It had been a declaration of values. And through their journey, they had proven those values every step of the way. As the shuttle continued its voyage, the trio prepared for the next mission, knowing that challenges awaited. Yet Ethan felt confident. With Lyra and Nyssa at his side, humanity could meet the universe with intelligence, respect, and the courage to do what was right. Together, they had begun a new era of interstellar cooperation, one that would inspire countless civilizations and demonstrate the best of what humans could achieve. The stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a promise of discovery, understanding, and shared triumph. And as they moved forward, Ethan, Lyra, and Nyssa carried not just technology or knowledge, but the ideals that would define a new era, an era where intelligence was paired with empathy, courage was guided by wisdom, and humanity truly shone among the stars. And in that moment, Ethan realized the truth of what he had always believed. The universe was vast, full of wonders and challenges, but when humans acted with heart, fairness, and cooperation, there was no limit to what they could achieve. Humanity, yeah, indeed.